Hello and welcome to TNA Top 10 for November 25th, 2024. And I didn't even have to look at anything that time. I'm T Weave. With me as always is Allison. How you doing, Allison?
Hi, I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing okay. Doing okay. How you doing, Andrew?
Infuriated by inflation, but more on that in a minute. And
All right.
Facebook. Today,
Oh, don't
Facebook
have
annoyed me too. I want to tell the people at Facebook, we are trying to get people to use your platform. Do not make it difficult for us to do that. You communist fucking bastards. Okay, I'm done.
Well, I just
You know,
realized I didn't even have my show notes pulled up.
he's a socialist, right? I mean, you know what? And you all know how I feel about socialism. Zuckerberg is a socialist. And, it's only a matter of time before we have to pay for Facebook and you all kiss my big ass goodbye. If I like you enough, you'll have my cell phone number. Text me. Did I filibuster enough, Terry, or do you need me to keep going?
No, I've got the notes now. I bought a whole laptop for this and I left it in the other room.
That was meant for the private chat. Do you need me to filibuster or are we still good?
No, we're good. Oh my goodness. So you were speaking of inflation, you were talking about a purchase you made. Let's hear it.
White shirts and regular boxers. $52 total.
Good God.
White undershirts and boxer shorts. Not fancy, sexy boxers you hope somebody sees one day. Just the everyday functional ones. $52. It's obscene. And then they put this little, it's
the kind with the pocket?
Yeah, they put not those. Those are the fancy ones. But then they put, at least these still come with a fly. You have to be careful. Some of them don't come with a fly. Then you're unzipping and unbuckling and doing the whole gimmick. That or you're just sitting down on the toilet. Whatever it is. But I would tell you, I get so annoyed when the marketing people put value pack. My ass, who's a good it's not a good value. This is not a good value. But yeah, $52 to replace the white shirts that, by the way, I think I have a new record. I think the last time I bought white undershirts was like 18 months ago. So that's a year and a half. And I wear one every day. Every day. But I always keep 10 in rotation. And then the underwear maybe made it a year or so. Because I am a little bit weird.
I mean, as a mom, it's Christmas is coming. I know most of you do this, most of the parents. This is a great time to restock.
You're all horrible parents, because I know what she's going to say.
I always buy, and I don't always buy it. My mom usually buys the underwear and the socks. Because, look, as an adult, you give me socks, you're one of my favorite people. I love socks.
Now, that's true. That's true.
But you need underwear too, and as a kid, you certainly are not going to go out and buy your own underwear or spend your own money on underwear.
No.
So I can just back Andrew up and say prices are ridiculous, but be happy. But be happy you're a boy, because for girls it's worse.
That's dumb.
I'm not saying you're wrong, but we have to buy 2 sets, and the top set is way more expensive than the lower set. Do you know
there's another option? You don't have to buy anything.
The average price for a bra is like $30. Did you know that? Like a good bra, $30.
If I had boobs, well, I do, but I mean, if I had women boobs, I would need 7 bras, because you guys know what a germaphobe I am. I do not wear the same clothes. We have people at work that'll wear dress pants like 2 or 3 days in a row. Gross. Get out of here. Not interested.
Air out in between.
Dude. Apparently, but I'm not going to play the game. And then they get dry clean only pants that they don't dry clean every week. Yeah. They end up going like a month or so. And I'm like, no, can't do that either. By the way, with the new underwear, you always wash it, you fold it, and you put it away. And we call that a callback to last week with our top 10 chores everybody hated, Terry. I don't have a laundry chair or a laundry treadmill, was it?
There was a laundry treadmill, yes.
This is me judging you. And there will be a lot more judging, folks, because here's a little bit of a preview. It's a food episode Thanksgiving week, and I promise the fireworks are going to fly tonight. because me and Allison already disagree.
Yes.
And Terry's just sitting here grinning in the middle. Well, he's not in the middle. He's over here. But you get what I'm saying. He cannot wait to see the fireworks.
Do you know what I do have fireworks about, though, before we get to our topic for the day?
Did somebody piss you off again?
It's not a somebody, it's a general, I'll call it industry. Remember when Black Friday was on Black Friday?
It's not a thing anymore.
But now it's like you've got a month of Black Friday. This is not a deal. You are not making me save money. I am now screwed because I'm like, oh, is this going to go on sale somewhere else? Is this going to go on sale somewhere else? You know, I work very hard to provide a lot for my son. Fully admit, my kid is spoiled. But when your kid has very expensive taste, you work really hard to try to save $1 here and there. And this shit is driving me nuts. I'm done. Have one day if you're going to have a big sale, be done. Not 7 weeks.
Can you imagine her, Terry, in the old school Black Friday days?
I'll tell you.
I like it being a weekend, honestly. I mean, I may not be prepared for it on Friday.
But that's good. I agree with that. But I will admit I've only done like the actual in-person shopping Black Friday, like 3 a.m. thing twice. And once was when I was married and on vacation, if that tells you anything.
Terry and Allison know this about me. I'm pretty good with people, but I absolutely hate crowds, and I will show you how to leave. Therefore, I don't participate in what we call Black Friday. I sit on my ass in my boxers at my laptop or iPad, and I just order off of Amazon on Cyber Monday.
Yeah, and I got stuff in my cart right now. Wait.
Right, same. So do I. I'm like, this shit's gonna go on sale, and I will buy it.
Yeah. So. It's Black Friday. It's no longer a thing. What is a thing? Couple notes first. Number one, Don Staley, South Carolina team lost the other day by 15 points to UCLA.
Crazy.
That doesn't happen to them.
Not at all.
Now they were the UCLA 5th ranked team in the country. But Don Staley's Gamecocks do not lose like that. So they're down 15 points. She said it was a beautiful thing to see how well UCLA played. She just hates it happened to them. It's a great line. But we love Don Staley on this show. And, well, me and Terry do. Not so much Allison. Gamecocks, because she's a Connecticut gal. But you know, a lot of great rivalry with Gino there too. They're just reloading the gun there. Secondly, this could be a producer's pissed at some point. Let's talk about inefficiency in the government. No, we're not going to get political. Let's talk about Real ID in the state of North Carolina. Real ID. February 19th, I have an appointment at 7:45. The reason I have an appointment at 7:45, February 19th, is it was the first available appointment at my local DMV office to get a real ID in the state of North Carolina. Wow. So that is offensive to me. Now, I'm getting a real ID because there will be traveling that we're going to be doing. She's going to push me, Terry, to get TSA pre-check next.
No, global entry.
Or global entry, excuse me.
These are all just words to me. I got no
one thing at a time. One thing at a time. Real ID, because actually that does for all of our listeners go into effect May of 2025. It's been delayed and delayed and delayed.
And then they said October, but now it's going to be May. So yeah.
May 2025. But then I have to get a passport.
Yes, you do.
I let my passport expire. Smart. The good news is we're not going to Costa Rica for another year.
Correct.
Spoiler alert for everybody who likes to hang with us. It's a exclusive trip. But yeah. Last note, the reason we're traveling, spring training, the Yankees. Soto might be on the team. He might not be. Did you all see what has been floated that he wants?
You know, I have dreams too. But my dreams are at least a little bit realistic.
12 to 14 years. with opt-out clauses at 3 and 4 if he chooses. But he wants to lock a team 12 to 14 years.
Could you
Looking north of 660 right now.
That's insane.
That's generational wealth. That will set him and his family and his children and their children up for the rest of their life as long as he's not a dumbass. But it's down to, reportedly, the Dodgers are out. So it's the Mets, the Yankees, the Blue Jays somehow, and the fucking Red Sox.
Come on.
The Blue Jays, man.
Yeah, no, that's not even real. Like, we hear that we're like safety school, like that.
Yeah.
It's going to be him and a bunch of single A players.
So they think he'll have it next week when we talk. We may have an answer on where Juan Soto ends up. Bober, stop it. We're going to bash on Pitt later in the second hour. Stop it. I think that's all we have on the little notes that we made today.
I think we're good.
I like Allison's real ID, though. You need to go do it. Go do it. Go do it. Okay, I go to do it 3 months later.
I know.
Thank you for that, man.
That's all right. But
ridiculous.
now you understand for the passport, you should get started sooner rather than later, right?
I guess I need to do these things, too.
I have all my stuff. So I was going to get the...
You don't have a passport either?
Oh, it's been going for 7 years now, yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to get the real ID, and then I'm going to get the passport because the real ID checks off all of those necessary documents already and makes the passport easier to get. It'll still be 6 months if we have a State Department.
I can't wait until he goes for the global entry and he has to do an interview.
Oh, God. I'm not getting global entry.
See, I knew it.
No, if the government has to interview me, we're screwed. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, I know.
I'm saying what did not screw me.
Yes.
Was paying $50 for Full Gear. Great pay-per-view, Terry. And no, I didn't go eat. I didn't go to Dave and Buster's.
That would have been $150.
$150. Somebody felt bad one time and kept ordering.
I'll do that. She kept checking on me. I kept ordering stuff.
And you kept ordering stuff.
Oh,
so this
is macaroni.
This is a big card. Big card, but really top to bottom, one of their best outings, I think. Just a general comment. But Terry, did you have an opportunity to see any of this?
Okay. What was I doing? This was a Saturday in the fall?
Yes.
No. Okay. All right. Well, I had football on too. I have the 2-screen gimmick, I'm not like you.
Yeah,
I don't have the 4-screen. I don't have the 4-screen gimmick like you do. I've got the 2-screen gimmick.
I tried to watch it, but because I'm old and had 2 glasses of wine with dinner, I was asleep by 8:15.
Okay, let's back up. Did you have a Andrew and Terry glass of wine?
Yes.
Or did you have they serve you this amount at the restaurant glass of wine?
No. This was a whole glass of wine with like this much room at the top.
Yeah, speaking of that, have you heard that Chat GPT or whatever the AI thing will not give you a full glass of wine in a picture? No matter what you say to it, it'll just fill it up to the normal level.
Oh, I'm going to test this out. That's phenomenal.
Impressive. I like that. ChatGPT is all the rage right now with a bunch of people that I am friends with, and we are trying to see what it can do. But that's a story for another day. Let's talk about Full Gear.
On the wine topic, though,
yes.
I used to have a chalice because I would buy them by the magnum. So, for those of you that know, that's a lot of wine. Full Gear, I did not get my double chocolate chip cookie, but we got some jerk off from New Jersey.
0 hour.
And his chubby children. I know. I have to try to be nice because I was a chubby child too. Look, I said it in the group chat. If I realized just going to a grocery store or a department like a Walmart or Costco, a Sam's Club, and making stupid TikTok videos back in the 90s, if that was a thing, we'd be rich. Like we would all be retired because I could have totally done that crap.
Yeah.
Especially the little Rizzler, the little Riz kid, whatever his name is, coming out standing next to Paul White looking like he's a baby. It was fine. They just annoy me with the boom thing.
I think of it like this. Back in the day, there were people who hated when, Cyndi Lauper came out, when Ozzy Osbourne came out, when Alice Cooper came out. So you know what? Something for everybody. It's the entertainment portion of the show. Meh.
The difference between Cyndi Lauper and Alice Cooper and Limp Bizkit and the guys that sang DX's song is they had talent. These are TikTok superheroes because they get chocolate chunk cookies and yell boom.
I hate to say it, but these days, that's what qualifies for celebrity. Maybe our 11 subscribers, or will make us famous,
Yeah, we need to really work on this in 2025 because I need a retirement plan better than working 60 hours a week.
The compound is not going to pay for itself, boys.
Correct.
Well, at least I assume they didn't come out saying all that skibbity garbage or whatever.
Oh, whatever they were saying, I didn't understand most of it. And I laughed so hard because they were from New Jersey, right?
They're Jersey guys, yeah.
So they had the nice thick accent, so I was like, all right.
Well, and he used to be a wrestler there, and I mean, I'm busting balls a little bit, but like
he was fine.
the whole stick is really stupid to me, like the boom and the we're Costco people and whatever. How are you a Costco person? You're a mascot. That's what you are. I don't get it.
They used to open the Costco really close to me, right next to the biscuit place.
I will boycott it on principle alone.
It's causing some real traffic issues. I was trying to go
imagine
to
that
place. Yeah, all sorts of problems.
You can buy a casket at Costco, as I learned from Modern Family. Thank you, Mitch and Cam. Anyway, the card that match was on 0 hour. QT Marshall, blah blah blah. It was fine. Good on the guy, though. Apparently, AJ broke his foot in the match, they're reporting, and he still finished it. So, yeah. The Costco guy actually broke his foot. Good for him. Wow. Terry, the one thing I got wrong on this graphic is they're out of order in the matches, but it's okay. It doesn't matter, I don't think. Because I remember the way they went down.
Yeah, same here.
They opened the show with Terry's favorite, Allison.
Yes.
A multi-man, multi-team.
Of course they did.
Tag team match. MJF, Terry, did not open the show.
No.
Instead, we got the Kings of the Black Throne, Private Party, the Outrunners, and the Acclaimed.
The middle strip there?
Yep. In a four-way match. And, of course, my boys are going to split up, which I think is dumb. Number one merchandise sellers in the company for like 18 months in a row. And you've cooled them off, but you could heat them back up. It's called booking, whatever. That was more the focal point. Like Max does his rap, which to me was really funny. I know people don't like him, but I thought it was hilarious. And then he threw the mic and Bowens misses it, and he gives him a look, and it's a whole thing.
Oh yeah.
But how did this one end? They pinned Max with the Private Party finish, which is still pretty cool when he hits that Hurricane Rana into the cutter. That's a pretty cool visual. But this is, to me, a bigger problem for Tony Khan. The Kings of the Black Throne are sitting right there. You don't have to go back to Private Party. The Outrunners are hot. The Outrunners are are the Acclaimed. They are the Acclaimed right now with the little handshake and the goofy gimmick and all this crap. They didn't go to them either. They went back to Private Party and let them retain. And it's not a good tag team division right now. Not a good tag team division. The Kings of the Black Throne, to me, let them carry the tag titles. They are the most significant. And if you want a feel-good win, put it on the Outrunners. You don't have to put it on the Acclaimed. But anyway.
And with Julia Hart's imminent return, too, you would think they would try to put a little bit more focus on Kings of the Black Throne and, House of Black. But
there's way too many to grade, Allison, but any hair stand out here for you?
I'll be honest. I think your boys had the best hair.
There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got that mustache just the way he likes it,
Yeah, and I like the Outrunners hair, but it's got that too greasy thing for me. Nah.
So Was Mercedes really a redhead here?
No,
It's
she
important.
actually did a multicolored thing, which Allison will get to in a second. Rating for me, 1.5 stars, not a good match. Way too much sitting there holding your dick and not enough action. And that's the problem you have with these 8-man matches, particularly in a venue like AEW puts on. They're waiting to do their spots. And to me, that's a problem. It's not a wrestling match.
Yeah. Yep.
But you may have liked it.
No, it was all right, but it wasn't good.
1.5 stars on this.
I may give it 2 because it did flow, but well, I don't want to say it flowed, but when there was action, it was good action. I'll put it that way. Yeah. But no, it wasn't anything special to me. Second to worst match of the night. And please understand, for me, I did not think any of these matches were really that horrible. So when I say second to worst match of the night, doesn't mean it was that bad.
Arguably, though, worst opener AEW's put on maybe ever.
Yeah, it was super slow.
Like to set the stage for the night, though, and you want to get the audience hot. This was not a good match.
And to your point about the Outrunners being the new Acclaimed, you could have started your night out on a freaking banger, and you didn't.
Yep. Because they want to give Private Party their moment after 5 years of being a jobber tag team. Good for you. Yeah. Next, not a good tag team. In a world where the Kings of the Black Throne exist, in a world where FTR exists, in a world where even the Young Bucks, I hate to say it exists, but they do. This is not a great look. Next, Terry, believe it or not, in the dead spot. Bad enough you didn't open hot. MJF versus Roderick Strong, match number 2 on this show.
If you're going to do that, you might as well lead with MJF versus Roderick Strong.
Yeah.
Right.
Flat story leading into this. Good technical wrestling.
Yeah.
Flat match. And the bullshit at the end of this makes this one for me 1 star. The Adam Cole coming out to save Roddy after MJF's already broken his arm. MJF wins, by the way, Terry. And if you haven't watched the show, we're going to spoil it, folks. Sorry. Roddy
paid their $50. Yeah.
Roddy gets his hand broken. MJF wins, of course. And then out comes Adam Cole to try to save him. MJF runs through the crowd. Out comes Kyle O'Reilly and Taven and Bennett. And O'Reilly pushes Cole for trying to help Roddy, who just got his arm broken, in kayfabe anyway, by MJF.
Whatever.
Yes, that all happened. All of it. So.
I was going to say, and if you were upset by that, just wait.
There's more. Allison, thoughts on the hair for this one?
You know, I love MJF and everything, but he's getting a little away from the good hair. Roderick Strong, I saw him in person a couple weeks ago. I love what he is doing with his hair. He is going gray, and he is letting it go gray, and he looks good. So kudos to you. He wins hair for the night.
There you go.
Yep.
Up next in the 3rd spot, let me take a look. I believe
women?
It was either the women or it was Hangman and Jay White.
I think it was women. No, I could be wrong. I don't know.
I don't think it was. I think it was Hangman and Jay White.
Let's do it.
Doesn't really matter. Hangman and Jay White, an excellent match. Jay White got the advantage over Hangman, as had it. Terry, believe it or not, after they each worked on a limb and everything, he beat him again, clean. Jay White wins again over Hangman. And
Good.
so
Let him loose.
I'm a big fan of a clean win, and you were spot on. It was a good match.
And then there's the end of the show, which we'll get to. But I would rank actually I'd give the tag team match like a 2. I would give Roddy and MJF, believe it or not, like 1.5, and it's all this nonsense that it didn't need. This one here was one of my top matches of the night, probably my second or third favorite one. And I would say that it was probably 4 stars, 4 out of 5 for
Yeah,
me.
I think that's right. No hair winner in this match.
Is it because it's wet and greasy and you just
Yes.
don't like that?
Yeah, no, you don't get a rating from me if you're wet and greasy.
What about
That
the
means
facial hair?
Oh, facial hair, spot on. Hangman's got it made. That Magnum TA porn star mustache, man. That I am all about that. He looks so good.
Yeah, and again, it was a banger. Like I say, they worked the leg. There was a spot where he went to that ankle lock, and then he went out of it into the Blade Runner for the pin. Clean win, good match. And then that followed. I believe that was Ospreay Fletcher, and I may have it out of order. It doesn't matter. We're just going to go down the line.
Yeah, let's just do it.
Ospreay,
to me, this was match of the night.
Yes,
I loved this match.
What about the hair?
I have no issue with either one. Kyle is high and tight. Looks good. Will Ospreay, I can't hate anything about him. I'm sorry.
Kyle comes out in white. Ospreay comes out in black. Hard hitting and a lot of trust in this match. We saw pile drivers, brain busters on the stairs, brain busters in the corner, tombstone pile driver Terry on the floor, and another one on the stairs. Very dangerous. Again, a lot of trust between these guys. 5 stars. And the right guy win when Kyle Fletcher is a made man, is legitimized by beating Will Ospreay. And he didn't even need that damn screwdriver to do it.
Nope.
Up next, let's go with Ricochet and Takeshita. It was a fine match to me. Nothing stood out. 2.5 stars. Takeshita wins clean.
Yeah. Meh.
I think Ricochet's problem is that he is being out ricocheted by better versions of Ricochet in AEW.
I think what is expected is Ricochet is going to come into the ring and just do his flip-floppy thing and dominate.
Yeah.
And to me, Takeshita is just like, good try. No.
Well, how old is he now with Ricochet?
30, 35, 35, 36, something like that.
I don't know. Yeah. Takeshita wins the hair battle here, by the way. He's always got impeccable hair. Always.
And Takeshita's under 30. His presentation, the outfit he was wearing, Takeshita was on the 30 under 30 list for professional wrestlers ESPN put out.
I mean, to me,
he's 36 apparently. Yeah.
He carries himself so well, and you could see it in every aspect. And I just wish they would cut him from Don Callis.
It was a good wrestling match. The reason he's with Don Callis is he can't cut an English promo yet.
Yeah,
but it's coming along. It's coming along.
It's working.
Well, with people like Okada and Kenny in the back that speak Japanese, they can help him with the language barrier.
True.
TNT title match. Thought it was okay. Thought it was fine. Jack Perry loses to Daniel Garcia. For some reason, the company has decided Daniel Garcia is the guy. They've even put him in the Continental Classic block tournament. Gross.
Since the beginning, though. I mean, they put him there really early.
Yeah.
Agreed.
And the scapegoat doesn't really have a purpose anymore. At one point in the match, like he's been doing, he throws the title to Garcia and just holds his arms open and gives him a wide open shot, which Garcia does not take. So that was smart. He didn't get himself DQ'd. But Jack Perry is presenting himself as a kick-ass babyface, not a shitty heel. This is the 3rd or 4th time where illogically Darby threatens to light him on fire. He says, go ahead and do it. And the Young Bucks are the ones that stop him. Then you have the deal here where he's trying to throw him the belt. He gives him the wide open shot. All of this sort of stuff. It is illogical to the nth degree. If you want to make him a badass, make him a badass. But you can't have somebody that's supposed to be being booed because you're going off to CM Punk residual heat to this. Allison, your thoughts? Because I know you love Jack Perry, at least.
I mean, I love Jack Perry, and I will actually admit it was a really good match, like really good, and I was not upset that Daniel Garcia won. They did a good job.
I wasn't upset about it. I'm just saying Garcia had to do something, and the problem is for Perry, without the Young Bucks and Okada Okada's going to be tied up in this C2, this Continental Classic tournament now for the next month. What do you do with Perry? Who has really been the de facto leader of the Elite? Because he's been the guy where all of this was generated around from the time he punched Tony Khan in the stomach to now. And you talk about a lackluster storyline. This is where we finish Daniel Garcia defeating him for the TNT title with no outcome from the originality of the story, the origins.
I mean, I'm going to throw a very wild thought out there, but if the Acclaimed break up, I could see him and Anthony Bowens being a new tag team. They're pretty.
Yeah, I don't know.
Or have them go singles. And then, like, to me, Anthony Bowen and Jack Perry are very, very similar in style and ability. But, all right, let's move on because we are running out of time.
No, we're not. It's the greatest match in history, at least for Mercedes Moné. Her best match in AEW.
It is.
Defeating Chris Statlander. I really like this match, and I hate Mercedes Moné. In a loud, clear voice, I am a Mercedes Moné hater. I hate her character. I hate her whininess. I hate the missteps. Her promos suck. Her in-ring work has been absolute garbage. Best match I've seen from her in years. And best match I've seen from her outside WWE. So,
can you remind me why I loved her hair so much?
Because one side was black and the other side was blue and red and something else.
It was just, I just remember it being gorgeous and telling you to remind me to say something, and I have totally forgot.
I thought it looked like shit, but I don't like Mercedes Moné. Oh,
I don't like her either. Everybody knows I'm not a fan, but I give props when they're due. And I agree with you. Hate Monet. The match was great.
I just can't stand her character. I think it's such trash. I mean, she's just so bad.
What did you think about Lashley and Swerve?
That it was a good match, except it ended very suddenly. Lashley hits the belly to belly, he hits the spear, then he puts Swerve in the hurt lock. But Swerve had gotten the stomp through a table, gotten the kick, gotten the stomp, and didn't get the pinfall. Yeah. Dave says Chris got a lot out of her. I don't think that's possible, Dave. I think that this one was on Mercedes. Chris Statlander is not a good professional wrestler. She's C-level at best. All of the WWE girls would eat her up. And she's injury prone. And Mercedes needs to quit doing that stupid move to women that are too big for her to make it look effective.
And did we see? Oh no, I'll bring that up because it's at the end.
But Swerve gets beat. It doesn't hurt Swerve that he got beat.
No.
But I mean, I'm not a Bobby Lashley guy. I mean, he's impressive in the ring and that sort of stuff. But Swerve is your horse. Swerve is your guy. Let's go with Swerve.
Yep.
But Tony Khan has this problem that I think anybody that watches this show can agree to. He's got 200 wrestlers on this roster. He needs to pick the 10 to 12 that he's going to run with, and he needs to book everything around them in some way, shape, or form. And there was no need for the jobbers from last week either. The main event. The overbooked, unnecessary main event.
Yeah.
Orange Cassidy loses. Go ahead, Allison.
You're not a fan of Orange Cassidy, right?
No. I have no problem with Orange Cassidy. I used to be a hater.
I love Orange Cassidy, and I've always loved Orange Cassidy since before he joined AEW. And I think he's just blossomed since he's gotten here. And I think him losing was inevitable tonight. That night, you knew it was going to happen, but he was again phenomenal, and I feel like he's starting to really show his wrestling talent because in AEW, because of his gimmick, I feel like he doesn't do as much as he used to. I was very pleased with this match with him. Okay, but now he loses. Please go, Andrew.
Yeah, so Orange is actually the one who bleeds in this match, believe it or not.
And a lot.
He takes the suplex or the DDT on the stairs. Great setup, and then of course we have Wheeler come in, hit the interference while Blackpool Combat Club is being ushered out by who are they fighting? They're fighting somebody. Anyway.
Oh, the conglomeration.
Yeah, the conglomeration, that's right. And Yuta sneaks up in a black hoodie, of course, and hits the knee, and then Moxley hits the paradigm shift or the Death Rider in this case, and it's ball game. It was a good 20 to 30 minute match, Terry. Yeah. Orange Cassidy is a sympathetic babyface. John Moxley's that, badass boss. This is the guy, blah, blah, blah. And then the shitstorm starts. They poured some chemical over top of Orange Cassidy. And I don't even know what that was supposed to be, Allison, that greenish blue.
It was supposed to be like cleaner of some size, some kind.
So what they did is they put it down his throat. So, they're trying to kill somebody again on pay-per-view, just like the plastic bag. And out comes, believe it or not, Hangman Page to stop it.
Hobbling.
And then Christian comes out and hits Moxley with the unprettier, or whatever he calls it now, whatever he calls his move, but he hit him with his finish. Looks like he's going to cash in the contract. Out comes Jay White to screw that up for Christian. Mm-hmm. Moxley gets away with the help of Marina Shafir and the rest of the Death Riders. And you get a stare down between Jay White and Adam Page, who, mind you, wrestled earlier in the night. And Adam Page and Jay White is the last person you see before we go to the parking lot. And in the parking lot, they're trying to get in the car, in the Dodge Ram, and all of a sudden this car comes screaming 60 miles an hour, whatever fast it was, and it T-bones the truck. So then Claudio steals another set of keys from valet, and they get away in like a Suburban. Well, out of the car comes Darby Allin, who tried to climb on the hood of the Dodge Ram.
Oh, God, that was so sad.
And slipped and fell. Now, Terry, what I just explained to you took place in 3 minutes.
Yeah.
The kick to the face, the finish of the match, the interference, the hobble down the ring, and the demolition derby. Oh, and by the way, it was confirmed.
They 10 minutes behind? Is that why they squeezed it in?
It was confirmed online. Yeah. It was confirmed online. Darby Allin did his own stunt and actually was behind the wheel of that car.
That's not a surprise. It felt like to me what happened at the end of WrestleMania 40. Like how many people can we get in a match who are a little bit tangentially involved, and we'll just make everybody be like, what the fudge is going on? That's what it felt like to me.
So they've got a lot of loose ends to tie up because they could have waited for that. So that really took me out of the match. And I'd be glad to discuss this with any of our listeners offline since we are out of time on this topic. But
okay, hold up a second, because this is really good. Bober says at first I thought it was Allison driving. No,
she's not. She's not reckless. She's aggressive. Correct. There's a difference.
That's correct. I'm not aggressive. I'm assertive.
Correct. I am aggressive, and I admit it. Yes. But for me, Terry, and this is just a thought, you can catch up on social. I thought they had a really good, really continuous pay-per-view, well-produced, well-timed, etc., like a WWE style one. And then we got all this bullshit in the last 5 minutes of the show. Unlike the last 5 minutes of SmackDown.
Well, one thing before we move along, the good news is all my Wednesday nights are free now, so I'll be able to start watching. But let's move over to WWE.
Yes.
And what do we got going on?
We're going to throw the ones, Terry, because ladies and gentlemen, Paul Heyman has returned. Full Gear was great, including Devin Dallin. Go be a mark somewhere else. This is our show. I recommend you take that shit to another podcast. Thank you for being here. Paul Heyman is back.
Yes.
And he brought CM fucking Punk with him. I literally, Terry, CM Punk gets announced as the fifth man. And I am Jim Ross, June of '99. getting, when Vince gets revealed as the higher power and he pulls the hood off and he says, "It was me, Austin."
And Bober
Bober,
did predict it.
do you have like a thing about having to be right all the time? Because we can just ignore all your comments. Anyway, I didn't say he wouldn't be the fifth man. I may have, but I just don't want him to be the fifth man because CM Punk has the potential to ruin any story he touches, including this one that has been perfection for the last 4.5 years. So back to the point, when he gets revealed as the fifth man, I literally was Jim Ross after the Vince McMahon reel. It was me all along. Oh, son of a bitch. And that and I said it out loud because I don't want CM Punk anywhere near the bloodline. But for those of you playing along at home, I will explain. CM Punk brought the Shield into WWE to protect him during his 444-day run as champion in 2012 or 13. And do you know whose suggestion that was? Paul Heyman's. So the Shield, Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, Dean Ambrose, now Jon Moxley, all brought in at the behest of Paul Heyman by CM Punk. So there is history there. CM Punk, a Paul Heyman guy. Back before he went and ate the triple power bomb at MSG, he said, "Save me, take me with you." CM Punk did not. So now we have that. Roman did not save Paul Heyman from the new bloodline that now includes Bronson Reed. So now you've got these two conflicting figures, and what you end at the end of the show, everyone's throwing the ones, and Paul Heyman's doing this. Paul Heyman is grinning ear to ear like the Cheshire Cat as CM Punk's doing the go to sleep symbol. So, it's going to be fantastic. Somewhere that cell phone Sammy threw is going to matter because nothing happens in this story by accident. Nothing. And they can't get Brock Lesnar because of the lawsuit. So I saw George's comment. We appreciate George joining us. Lesnar would have been phenomenal again because he was a Paul Heyman guy. It makes a lot of sense. He and Reigns were rivals, blah, blah, blah.
And happy birthday, George.
Yes, sir. Happy belated birthday.
Happy birthday,
but
Dad.
It would have made sense. But of course, with that Janelle Grant trial, Lesnar's radioactive.
Yeah.
They're not bringing Brock Lesnar. And he's had problems too. People forget about this. He had problems with UFC, which is, TKO, which is now the parent company of the WWE. They're not just going to bring someone like Brock Lesnar back into the fold. There's going to have to be a lot of conversation and agreement. Anyway, that happened.
You know what we're not going to have agreement about?
Hold on, lady.
No, come on. We are so out of time, Andrew.
We're not. Well, no, we're not. We're fine. Cody Rhodes, Kevin Owens, main event, Saturday night main event in New York, your town, lady, December the 14th. And then Gunther's going to wrestle Damian Priest. Yeah.
I'm going to be in Vegas. I just thought of that.
Oh, well. But the Saturday night main event thing is a big deal because it's coming back. It's coming back for what? The first time since 2006?
If they don't do it just as goofy as the original, I don't want it.
So, but it will be main event, Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, or Kevin Owens and Cody, which probably means we're not going to see either of them on Survivor Series. Just making that note. We will cover Survivor Series next week on my birthday. Let's move on to why everybody's really here. Someone tell them about it.
It's almost Thanksgiving, and we're going to rank traditional Thanksgiving foods. And I spelled every word right this time.
I'm going to go ahead and correct Terry before we get rolling. We're going to fight about traditional Thanksgiving foods.
We already fought before we got on here. All right. So this is just going to be a continuation. Let's go.
That's because you gave me, I don't know how I never saw this before, but you are the reason that your son has poor eating choices. Clearly. It's your fault.
Have you met my father? It's hereditary.
We had great dining.
Eggs at IHOP in spite of her.
My dad gets eggs too. This is true. My whole family gets eggs but me. All right,
Number
next.
10. Green bean casserole.
We never had it at Thanksgiving, so nope.
And AI made every one of these pictures, by the way.
You don't need a recipe for it. All you need to do is go to the end caps at Walmart. Green bean, cream of mushroom soup, French fried onions, and roll it. That's it.
Sounds disgusting.
But you can go to any
That's
grocery
my
store
friend.
right now.
Yeah.
Oh, you lagged, honey. What'd you say?
Oh, I said no to the green beans and no to the. Well, I'm all right with green beans, but cream of mushroom is disgusting. Fried onions are great.
Cream of mushroom soup, a can of
love
milk
it all.
in the cream of mushroom soup, the French fried onions, the green beans, and black pepper. That is literally the recipe. And they will put it on the end cap at whatever grocery store you go to these time
I
of year.
prefer squash casserole, but that's a me thing.
Devin makes it for Grandma's Thanksgiving, so way to
At
go.
least
Devin.
he's not the roll person because you undercook one thing and you become the person that brings the dinner rolls or the silverware to every Thanksgiving from then on out. Good
I'm
job,
the money
Devin.
person. I send money and say go buy whatever you need. There you go.
Did we buy number 9, Terry?
Number 9, deviled eggs.
What?
Oh.
Okay, I know you don't like eggs, Allison, but this actually finished in 9th place.
Yeah, 9th
Well,
place.
it wasn't on my list. So
Yeah, some people just don't like them because they're wrong.
What was it Allison told you last week, Terry? I didn't know we lived in a communist country, ma'am.
When it comes to deviled eggs, we do.
But no, the deviled egg gimmick, obviously, everybody has a little different. This one looks like it's got the paprika on it.
Yeah,
we leave the paprika off of it, Terry. Do you do paprika?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, we leave it off, but it's the mayonnaise, the mustard, the vinegar, that's it. And actually, we use Miracle Whip, not mayonnaise.
Oh, no, that ruins anything.
Yeah. Too low on the eggs from Pondwater Dave, Allison.
Exactly, he's right.
Yes.
Let's go to
Next.
number 8. Ham.
Nope.
Honey ham, spiral
You
ham,
people all have
maple
bad
glazed
opinions.
ham.
This is horrible.
I don't do ham.
I
I'm
hate
not a
ham.
ham fan at all.
We have a 12-pound ham sitting in the fridge because everybody would rather have ham than the roasted turkey that I spend hours making.
My sister-in-law prefers ham to turkey.
And at this point, food is so expensive that if they're going to eat the ham, we're going to eat the ham.
Yeah, I get that. But no, thank you.
Number 7.
Sweet potato casserole.
I'm a fan.
So I make a good ham. I was reading Palmwater Dave. I make a good casserole, but I make yams that almost end up the same way.
Yeah. Okay.
So, but yeah, the roasted marshmallows. My brother-in-law, the one married to the youngest sister that lives in Georgia, lit my parents' oven on fire one time making this dish because I put the whole dish together and he put it in the oven, but he used the stupid big marshmallows and got them too close to the actual thing that the heater, the element, and it lit the damn oven on fire. It was fantastic. 20 years ago or something.
I never ate this until like maybe 10 years ago. And then I was so excited. It something switched in my brain, I guess, and all of a sudden I like sweet potatoes.
I like this too. I like sweet potato casserole better than a sweet potato pie.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Just as a personal preference.
Yep.
Me too. Yeah, and so far ham's the only thing that I'm not going to eat.
Okay.
All 3 of the other things will be on my
No. This is the first one I think I will eat, so let's keep going.
Number 6, gravy.
Hell yeah.
Pour that shit all over
everything.
On everything. Everything.
I love gravy. Absolutely.
My sister makes a gravy that could be its own food group. And she does a country gravy and she does this sort of gravy.
Oh.
You like how the AI picture put this at the table where a family loves cranberry sauce, apparently.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, really. That's a lot of cranberry sauce.
Yeah. The problem is we're not going to have gravy this year because we're not having turkey.
Oh.
Oh, well, wait a minute. Why is that a necessity?
Because we're having mashed potato casserole instead.
So why couldn't you put gravy on a mashed potato casserole?
Because the mashed potato casserole comes with a 1/4 of an inch cheese over top of it.
Oh, okay. That's a good reason. Fair.
I mean, there's about 15 other things you could put gravy on.
Stuffing, dressing.
Anyway, let's move along.
Do not start with me,
No,
ma'am.
Not yet. Let's see. I want to bet which one comes up higher. So let's go. I can't wait.
Number 5, mashed potatoes. There's more gravy here.
See, I'm mashed potatoes are always going to be on our table, which is why it didn't get ranked very high for me because it's always on the table. It's not something you only eat at Thanksgiving time.
But see, for me, it's not. So for me,
I rarely eat it.
Yeah, the buttery, salty, yummy, creamy mashed potatoes. Hell yeah, I'm
heavy
all about
whipping cream, half a stick of butter, and then I beat the hell out of them just for you.
You say Miracle Whip, we're gonna fight.
Ew! Stop!
I put Miracle Whip on a grilled cheese sandwich, as you've learned the last food show.
I can't keep going. I can't.
Number 4, turkey. Yeah. Here it is.
So multiple ways to cook them. I own a turkey roaster for the purpose of cooking a turkey once a year, and we're not cooking a turkey for the second year in a row. Last year we had prime rib. This year we're having ham. I use my mom's recipe. I just cook it all day long, low and slow. And she says when the turkey shakes hands with you, then it's ready to go. It basically means you pull it off. Right. 6 sticks of butter on that shit all day long to keep it all moist. And then to Dave's point, you make the giblet gravy with all of the grease and the goodies out of the bottom of the pan.
I've made one turkey in my life, and it turned out okay. And I said, "That's enough. I'm good."
See, the problem isn't that the food isn't good. The problem is that we can't find a turkey small enough, and nobody wants to eat turkey for 3 days after the fact. Yeah. That's actually the big problem.
Turkey is way better my family than it is eating it the day of.
Yeah, leftovers in my family are never a problem. Never ever. But
they are a turkey sandwich, take a nap.
I don't take turkey home. Sandwich, I'll take everything else. I want all the sides, not the turkey. So let's go.
Number 3, pumpkin pie.
Nope.
Imagine that. With Cool Whip.
Nope.
Ready Whip.
Pecan pie every day. Not this. This is trash.
Pecan or pecan?
Pecan pie. I don't know. Pecan. I don't care. You tell me. I don't care. It's not like it's a Yida.
I say pecan, so I don't know.
Okay. Anyway, this pie is trash. Thank you. That is my opinion.
Whoa.
It can be. I've had some that are, but if it's good, it's good.
Whoa.
But see, you shouldn't have if it's good. If you like pumpkin pie, you should like pumpkin pie.
Yeah, but like every other pie, people can fuck it up. I promise. Yeah.
It's pretty easy to mess up. It is.
Okay.
I messed it up for sure. Number 2, dressing.
I give up. I give up. Why is this not number 1?
Because stuffing's number 1.
No, because this is going to be another one of those that was probably not anybody's number 1, but in everybody's top 5.
What, dressing? This was my number 1.
No, number 1 is what I'm saying.
Oh shit! Did stuffing take it? Andrew might have the heart attack.
What?
Nothing. Dressing is for salads. Bober, you're a salad. Go away.
Where exactly are you stuffing this?
So
up the turkey's ass, where it belongs, because we don't live in a communist country, and this is how we do things. You boil the turkey neck and the gizzards that come out of the fresh turkey, and you make a roux, make a nice juice out of them, and then you take the garlic and seasoned croutons, and you go ahead and put them in the bowl, and you put the roux over top, chopped up celery, onions, seasoned.
I love you, but
you mix it all together. Then you put gloves on, proper way to do it, and you stuff it all the way up the turkey's ass, all of it.
I'll stuff it right in a casserole dish,
and you can put it in a casserole dish and have the same effect, which is what we're going to do this week. We're not having a turkey, so we will have dressing because it's not going in the turkey.
So for those of you who are not from the South, well, I was going to say for those of you who are not from the South, stuffing is stuffing, and we don't have dressing. I'm only calling it dressing because you told me that the difference between stuffing and dressing is that dressing is on the side and stuffing is on the
It dresses the meal. It's like around it,
I mean,
or it's
Super
inside it.
Dave
You know, like
is
you
100%
shove it in
correct.
there.
Dressing is the main
Yeah,
event.
okay, ma'am.
It is.
I just gave you a recipe for real stuffing. Why don't you tell or dressing? Why don't you tell our crowd that's available today what it is you prefer to eat?
Stovetop every day. Stovetop. I love
Gross.
stovetop.
You
So
are
good, amazing.
you are fired from
I'll
being
eat
my
it.
restaurant
I'll eat it.
friend. So bad. Fired.
All right, what's number one? I'm really curious now.
You'll understand what I'm saying. I don't think it's anybody's number one. Number one is rolls.
No.
It was on my list. I will fully admit
Exactly.
this.
It's on everybody's
Because
list.
we don't get rolls unless it's a holiday. So you all know how much I love my bread.
Carb it up.
Let me tell you,
Yeah.
the top two on this list, I will put those together and I'll make a little dressing sandwich over and over again this Thanksgiving. And that's what you'll see me eating.
The majority
With
of my plate
gravy.
is
Oh,
one and
yeah,
two.
with gravy.
Yes.
Let me, whatever number that was, 7? Yeah.
Correct.
Mm.
Yeah. 1 and 2 make up 90% of my plate, and the other 10% is the jellied cranberry.
Yeah, I can do that.
Because again, things I don't get any other time of the year.
I'm okay
Also,
not
I'm used
getting any other
My
time.
biggest issue with the stuffing dressing debate on this show is that you think stovetop qualifies.
It
Well,
says
there's
stuffing
another
right on the box.
advantage. There's another advantage to liking stovetop, and that's there's like 4 dressings, 4 stuffings at Thanksgiving because everybody likes their own. And I'm pretty sure I'm one of 2 people out of like the 10 of us who likes stovetop. So I usually get a really good amount, and there's always leftovers. So yay for me.
Yeah, but it's just shameful that you don't do it the way I do and spend an hour preparing it to make everybody smile.
To be
And there
fair,
is-
You're welcome,
my mother
Dave.
does.
We're teasing you a few days early.
and my
That way
sister-in-law
we'll be
does.
super hungry.
There is never any of it left. That's all I'm telling you.
See, that's good.
It's all gone. All the
Alright.
time.
Well,
But
that was
that's how
good.
I
Let's
roll.
run down that list again.
Let's run it down. Number 10, green bean casserole. Number 9, deviled eggs. Way too low. Number 8, ham. Number 7, sweet potato casserole. Number 6, gravy. Number 5, mashed potatoes. That's funny how they ended up next to each other.
Yeah.
Number 4, turkey. Number 3, pumpkin pie. Number 2, dressing. And number 1, rolls.
It's a beautiful list. Thank you to everybody who participated. Seriously.
I like
Absolutely. Thank you. Now I'm
Yeah.
starving.
I
Let's
know.
move along
Yes.
to the Ram Network. What we got going
Ram
on?
Nation. Talking Wrestling with Pondwater Dave. They're going to do their breakdown of AEW Full Gear. And Pondwater can say why Chris Statlander carried Mercedes in that match and disagree with me, and that's all good. I will be glad to listen. Wrestling and Thanksgiving. So wrestling and Thanksgiving have gone together for a long time. They're going to talk about that. And they're going to talk about Yellowstone. I heard that a major character is no longer on the show. No spoilers, folks. I don't watch Yellowstone. Also, we got to talk about big time belts. You want to talk about the Thanksgiving fight? When you're done fighting, go to big time belts, order you a belt that says Gravy Champion. Terry's going to have one sent to Huntsville. High quality, low prices. They sponsored the Ram Network fantasy football belt. It's fantastic looking. And you don't get ripped off. They hold up. Leather's genuine.
Yes.
Very, very nice. Good craftsmanship. Again, big time belts. Check it out. World Class Flashback continues the Von Erich saga with the Freebirds, I'm sure. Because I really don't know at this point if they ever did anything different in 1983. Ballers, Timmy and Dave are handicapping football or attempting to, because as you will learn in hour 2, the SEC got shaken like a James Bond martini this weekend. And Sunday night, the Ramheads participated with the newest member of the team, Megan Nielsen, as she and Dave and the HSV watched the Royal Rumble 1993. $5 get you in. Patreon.com. You can follow along with the watch-alongs and interact with all of us.
All right, let me wrap it up quick. Thanks, everybody, for voting. Thanks for those that are here on the show paying attention tonight. If you're staying for the football show, give us a few minutes to freshen up so we look nice and pretty for the football show later. If you're not, thanks for tuning in. As always, it's fun. Thank you, Andrew. Thank you, Allison. Thank you, fans. As always, love your people. Tell them you love them. Make it weird. See you next time, everybody. Hello and welcome to TNA Top 10 Week 13 football preview, or review actually. Week 14 preview. I'm T Weave. With me as always is Andrew. And Nebraska's going bowling. He's already put it on the screen here.
We're going bowling for the first time since 2000 4-16, believe it or not.
A lot of craziness this weekend. You were going to say something else about Nebraska. Yeah.
No, I'll save it. You think? I think something happened in the Southeastern Conference.
A few things happened in the Southeastern Conference, yeah. And Oregon's the only team standing undefeated now. Even the lesser teams, they're not undefeated anymore. Only the Oregon Ducks, after Ohio State beat Indiana and Navy blasted Army, Oregon's the only one left.
Notre Dame blasted Army.
What did I say?
Navy.
Oh. Getting ahead of myself there, aren't I? Yeah.
Maybe a little bit.
It started with an N, at least.
It started with an N. Very, very good. Terry, a great week in football. A lot of unexpected things happening. But one of the things that does matter is our little news notes, as I put in the notes anyway. The NCAA has made it so the maximum roster is now 105. And that is going to affect every football team in America. Because most of these teams have more than 105 players.
Right.
So that means it's going to be a very busy transfer portal. Nebraska has already lost an athlete who was not used much this season, had some injury, thought they were going to redshirt him, and he has told Coach Rule that he intends to enter the transfer portal. So that's one of the 45 to 50 guys Nebraska is going to have to send packing. It's an amazing number, and the walk-on program built by Tom Osborne, modeled by so many other colleges, copied by so many other colleges. You don't have to give someone a scholarship, but they could be on the football team. Well, now this isn't about scholarships. This is about the amount of players that you can put on an active roster, because there was no limit prior to this, which is why you can have 150 people on the team. Now it's 105.
Yeah, a lot of the bigger schools are going to have to cut. I guess they're trying to balance things out. Guys that would just walk on at bigger schools are now going to go somewhere else and compete. I don't know.
It may be an attempt to do the competition, but we'll see how long this lasts.
Well, a lot of things are going to keep changing. I mean, we're not going to have one season that's anything like the season that went before it. I mean, we're going to have the 12-team playoff this year. Next year, they're going to have different rules for different stuff every year.
But we're going to have the 12-team playoff this year and next year, and then it's going to 16 already. They've already agreed to go to 16 teams. So, yeah. But the thing is, like teams like Nebraska, maybe your Colorados, these teams that were trying to do some rebuilding, they thought they had the future sitting on the bench. Well, now they might have to tell the future to pack it up and leave and use what they have in front of them.
Speaking of packing up and leaving, I saw where TJ Finley had committed to Georgia or something.
Yeah. Didn't he play for Arkansas in Auburn?
Oh, so let's see, LSU, Auburn, Texas State, Western Kentucky, Georgia, I think. I may have even missed somebody.
Wow. Yeah, it's bad. What was not bad, particularly if you were an Auburn fan, was what happened this weekend, Terry, in the SEC. Is that what we're going to talk about first?
We are going to talk about it first, but before we go there, let's look at what the SEC outlook looked like before games this weekend. This is what I showed last week and the last few weeks. Texas and A&M both had one loss coming into the weekend, and Alabama, Georgia, Ole Miss, and Tennessee all had 2 losses. So that's the setup. Let's see what happened, and let's start with Ole Miss going to the Swamp and losing to Florida 24-17.
Defense. You can't turn the ball over 3 times. You certainly can't do it in the Swamp.
And Florida's a much better team than we thought they were going to be. We thought they were going to be 8-4, but now they're going to be in a bowl game.
I thought they were going to win 3 games, maybe 4.
They're going to win 7.
Yeah. Yeah. Because they're going to blast Florida State next week.
Yeah.
But yeah, Lane didn't get it done. And he made me a fool because I said he'd win 12 games this year. I also said Billy Napier was going to get fired. So this is what I love about this show. We look at everything analytically, all of the evidence we have at the time we make our predictions, and then it just blows up in your
and none of it matters.
None of it matters. But nobody thought Florida State would be 2-9.
Not at all. We'll watch them beat Florida to end the season.
Yeah, yeah. But next week also will mark the beginning of the transfer portal jockeying anyway. People will start to get ready to move,
Right.
And once that thing opens, but for this game, even on the penalties, even on the time of possession, but that turnover right there, those 3 turnovers, and Jackson Dart threw 2 interceptions, which,
late in the game.
Not necessarily, and they only won by 7. Ole Miss is a much better offense than Florida, especially with the patchwork they're doing in Florida, just trying to put a football team on the field.
Yeah, and Lane was starting to make me believe after the big win he had a couple of weeks ago because, I said they don't win the big games. Then they did.
Yep.
But now they go to the Swamp and they lose.
And it looked like the Swamp if you saw the game at all. I mean, those fans were loud. They were rowdy. They were engaged. And Florida's found some momentum. And here's the thing that can't be understated, and we'll just move on from here. They found some momentum right before the transfer portal opens, right before you really start recruiting, before you go to the bowl game. It's a big deal. It's a big deal for Florida to be heading the right direction, especially when you're in a state with as many athletes as Florida produces year in and year out. Not the school, but the state itself.
Right.
So many athletes come out of the state of Florida.
And they've got a good young quarterback to be the anchor of that, and they can pull some guys in just based on that and the momentum they've had.
Yes, which we're going to talk about that with my team in a few minutes.
Second game in the SEC is Alabama, 24-3 losers at Oklahoma out of nowhere.
Pick six.
3
Another interception. Yeah. Possession, 10-minute differential. A bad penalty where Ryan Williams' touchdown was called back for him being covered up. And he was not covered up.
Right.
I know you heard about it from all your Alabama fans, but he was not covered up. But the thing is, like, when you start talking about some of this stuff, Alabama has fallen. But I will remind everybody, they won a national championship and went 10-3 with the bowl game win. They lost 3 games in the regular season, and it started with an A&M loss. This year, though, they have lost to Vanderbilt. They shouldn't have lost to that football team.
Right.
They had a close one with Georgia that they were able to pull out. They lost to Tennessee, which, let's face it, Tennessee is still inconsistent and may lose to Vandy this weekend. Who knows? And we would all love it, even though Vandy couldn't get the job done against LSU. But the third loss here to Oklahoma, this is one-sided as can be.
It is.
And where did Oklahoma's defense come from?
Well, I think they targeted stopping the running game, because if you look at Milroe's stats, at least he's a runner.
Yeah,
that passes.
Yeah.
So if you can stop the running game, then you're putting pressure on that passing game.
Well, and as we know, Brent Venables, defensive coordinator before he was the head coach at both Oklahoma and not Auburn. I about said Auburn. I'm sorry, Clemson won those 2 national titles with Dabo. Big deal. So anyway, good for Oklahoma. They needed something positive, but Alabama, they're not playing for a national title, and that's a losing season in Tuscaloosa, or at least it has been for the last 17 years.
I mean, they're realistically they're a little bit outside the 12 at the moment, but who knows what happens this weekend. We've seen it happen before where they were not in it, and teams just move out of their way to let them in it.
Well, I know a certain person who's really hoping that his particular football team rolls into Tuscaloosa for the Iron Bowl. And
just put an end to that thought process.
An end to all of it.
We'll see.
Why don't you tell us why, Terry? What happened this weekend with Auburn and A&M?
Okay, 4 overtimes if you watch this game. Hopefully you watch this game. And look at the evenness of all these numbers. Texas A&M 464 yards, Auburn 469. They both had right around 300 yards passing, 167 and 168 rushing. I mean, this was about as close as it could be, other than third down conversions. Texas A&M had the ball a lot more, but Auburn walks away after 4 overtimes as Texas A&M's receiver drops the ball in the end zone. Auburn wins 43-41 after jumping out 21 to nothing.
Yeah, it looked like it was going to be a rout, and then you guys gave it away.
Yeah,
But
you
Texas
texted
A&M has
Auburn's rolling, and my response was, they don't know how to close.
they don't know how to close. But with A&M though, A&M has a habit of being a slow starting football team.
Mhm.
I would highly recommend if they want to play in the SEC championship, which we're going to get to, they don't start slow against Texas.
That's right.
Because Texas is a much better football team in all three phases of the game than Auburn.
Right.
That being said, Auburn, this is a signature win for Hugh Freeze. He needed this.
It's
He
his
needed
first
this.
win against a ranked team since he's been at Auburn.
And the only way it gets better is if he ends Alabama in Tuscaloosa.
Oh, yeah.
But that doesn't happen.
First time since 2010. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there was some big quarterback then.
Yeah, it was similar to this game. It's like Alabama took a huge lead that game. Yeah.
Yeah. There was this big quarterback. I think he won the Heisman. He went on to play the pro football, and now he's got the ugliest hair and most ostentatious suits you've ever seen in your entire life.
Okay, so that was the big 3 upsets in the SEC. Let's see what that does to the championship game possible scenarios, and it's pretty easy in the SEC. Georgia is in, and the winner of Texas and Texas A&M is in. That's who.
And this is the ironic thing: Georgia's losses, Ole Miss and Alabama.
Right. But they lost their games, moved out of Georgia's way. Georgia slides in there, and we'll see what happens.
And that's why this matters. So this probably will be the game of the week, Terry. I don't know that they'll do the Michigan-Ohio State game. That might be a Fox game. But Texas A&M and Texas, I wouldn't be shocked if that's the one game day is at. I haven't seen where they're going to be, but it wouldn't surprise me if it was Texas A&M.
It would make sense.
And I want to say that game is in Aggie World. I don't know that it's in Austin. I think Texas A&M is hosting.
We'll see in a few minutes. I don't remember which way it was.
And you remember what Jordan Hare does to teams. Nick Saban said it even. It's got some voodoo going on here.
It's haunted.
He hated playing in Jordan Hare. What conference we got next, Harry?
We got the ACC. We go into this weekend, SMU undefeated in the conference with a one out-of-conference loss. And Clemson and Miami both with one loss in conference coming into the weekend. And it wasn't very eventful in the ACC. I'm going to go ahead and show you what SMU did. They handled business. Yep. They won 33-7 against Virginia. You know, it's one of those games that could have snuck up on them. They didn't let it happen. They just demolished Virginia. Not a lot to say here other than SMU was probably not getting much benefit of the doubt all season, but they keep winning the football games.
Circle the 2 turnovers because against Clemson or Miami, they would have paid for those. And those are 2 much better teams than what they saw in Virginia this week. But, SMU, passing attack, rushing attack, like you said, Rhett Lashley, he loves bubble screens. He loves to get his receivers out in space. Who does that sound like, Terry? You've seen that offense before.
Gus Jr.
If he had a
high school quarterback for it.
If he has a quarterback that can run, you could forget about it.
Right.
Like a Cam Newton or a Nick Marshall. But Rhett Lashley's done a fantastic job at SMU, and he's positioned them to win. And spoiler alert, folks, they're in the ACC championship game.
Well, let's look at that. Oh, I did not maximize the size on this one. So SMU, if you can read this, SMU is in, and Miami and Clemson Now, this is a little bit different situation. In the SEC, the two teams are playing each other. In the ACC, Clemson is finished.
They're done.
They have completed their entire conference schedule. Miami has a game this week, and it all comes down to that.
And Miami has to win, and Clemson doesn't matter if they win, but then don't they go to tiebreakers as well? Or if Miami wins, they're in?
Miami wins, they're in. If they lose,
Okay.
then it's Clemson. Yeah.
Well, that's why I asked, because they actually have the same record. They'll have the same record in conference, though, because Clemson's other loss came from Georgia.
Yeah, so I'm not sure. I'm not sure what the tiebreaker that decides that is, but it comes down to Miami.
I'd have to look at it. I bet you it's common opponents or the strength of schedule.
Right.
And they're getting some help from the strength of schedule because Florida is surging now. Miami is, anyway.
So that's pretty straightforward. We're about to see something that's not very straightforward. Let's move over to the Big 12. Coming in, it was fairly straightforward. You had two teams sitting at the top, BYU and Colorado, both the one loss in conference, and Iowa State and Arizona State with two losses in conference. Sounds pretty straightforward going into the weekend. Well, chaos ensued. Let's see what happened. BYU lost to Arizona State 28-23. That's the first one.
Yeah.
And Arizona State's scary right now.
They're surging. Earlier in the day before the game, the administration is so confident in this coaching staff for Arizona State. Both coordinators, offensive and defensive, were given 3-year extensions. That's good news. That's a morale booster. That's an endorsement of this second-year head coach here at Arizona State. They bend and they bend and they bend, but they did not break to BYU. And BYU's been a pretty good football team. They're not an excellent football team. They're a Big 12 top of the order football team, which means they're just a good football team. But look at lack of third downs, Terry, on either side, 10 and 13. That's not a lot of third downs. Penalties on Arizona State probably hurt them more than anything.
And they were
passing, rushing, but a lot of possession. Look at that possession difference. And I mean, I watched the end of this game because it was on simultaneously with another one. Arizona State rushes the field. They had to get off the field.
Yeah, they did it early. And the coach was really pissed, too. I don't know if you saw that.
He was so mad. I'm like, dude, the game's over. Get over it. But whatever. Anyway.
So the other game in the Big 12 that matters, Colorado gets whipped by Kansas, and Kansas just decided they are the team that they were ranked to begin the season, and they've started mowing people down.
Even with Travis Hunter and Shedeur Sanders, do you know what you don't do when you let the other team hold the ball for 40 minutes?
What's that?
You don't win very many football games, Terry. 2-1 on possession. But that is how you stop a high-flying offense. You keep them sitting on the bench. And look at those rushing yards. 333 rushing yards.
And look at that time of possession.
That's what I'm saying. 40 minutes. You kept Travis Hunter. Well, Travis Hunter was on the field because he plays defense, but you kept Shedeur Sanders and his offense on the bench. The strategy was brilliant. 333 yards of rushing against one of the weakest defensive lines in the country. By the third and fourth quarter, they're worn out. They're not doing anything anymore.
And Colorado just doesn't run the ball.
Nope.
Ever.
Nope. They'd rather just throw
Shedeur out there. They play video game offense. And They don't run the ball. And they got 333 yards rushing for Kansas, 522 yards of offense. That is domination here. It's surprising it's even as close as it is, 37-21.
Yep. That means they just didn't score. That's what that means, is they didn't punch it in every time. And maybe it was a penalty or it was, and that's the other thing. Look at Colorado's sloppy play there, 8 for 65. That's a big deal. That's a big deal.
Yeah, and then there wasn't a penalty when Shedeur shoved a referee.
Yeah. He's such a bitch. But anyway, he's supposedly going to go number one in the draft. So
We'll see. Well, Dion might be his coach, right? In
Gross.
Dallas. All right, let's talk about what this did. Chaos in the Big 12. I don't know how many scenarios there are here. I've read articles that say, depending on what happens this weekend, the Big 12 could have an 8-team tie at the top. That is unbelievable. I hope they have something figured out for tiebreakers because it's crazy. 4 teams have 2 losses in conference. That's Arizona State, BYU, Iowa State, and Colorado. And 5 teams have 3 losses in conference. That's Baylor, Kansas State, TCU, Texas Tech, and West Virginia.
And Arizona State took down BYU and Iowa State, so they have the head-to-head, by the way.
Right. Yeah, so there's so many scenarios here, and there's not a lot of games between these teams, surprisingly, either. With 9 teams involved, you would think that there would be 3 or 4 games against each other, but there are not.
No.
So, I don't know. We're just going to have to watch this. There's plenty of games in the Big 12 to watch this weekend, and they're going to go over and over the scenarios the whole time. So we'll see. Let's move to the Big 10. So we came into the weekend. Oregon and Indiana were undefeated. Ohio State and Penn State with 1 loss. Big game of the weekend. Ohio State beats Indiana 38-15. More than doubles them up in the yardage. They showed who they are here. I think there's a gap after Oregon and Ohio State with everybody in the country.
Defense wins championships. The high-flying, high-octane offense of Google Me, I win, was neutralized by the pass rush of Ohio State. They were coming from every direction. The defensive scheme was beautiful. Now, Ohio State left points on the board twice. They turned the ball over inside the 20-yard line and 5. I mean, turnover on downs, they turned the ball over.
Yeah.
It was 15-31 with 42 seconds left or some shit. And rather than taking a knee, Ryan Day decided to punch it in to get that extra 7 points too against Indiana because he's a dick. Go figure. The thing that's worse is taking the knee and letting the other team know that you could have scored again. Tom Osborne did that to Steve Spurrier in the Fiesta Bowl back in '96.
Oh, taking a knee on the 2-yard line.
Yeah,
oh,
he did it
so
four.
Beautiful.
He did it 4 times. Osborne did it 4 times because it was first and goal. Yeah, this deal right here, Ohio State. This is what I saw, Terry. Obviously, defensively, defensively, Ohio State was just head and shoulders above Indiana. Indiana played pretty sound defense in that first half. You can see it was 14-7. But Ohio State come out, they took advantage of some things. But the size, the physicality, the strength, the things that you would think Ohio State advantage against other teams, not just Indiana, but just about everybody else, all played out Saturday morning. Well, I guess it was noon. But yeah, all that played out. They certainly had the edge in experience, but they were a much beefier, more physical, more imposing football team. And if you're a head coach, that's what you want to see when you're getting ready to go to a championship game. If they get by Michigan. Well, I might have spoiled that for our audience, but they got to get by Michigan. So a lot of scenarios here too, but it's easy. The Big Ten is easy because Oregon, obviously with the bye, they have
there's
Washington.
definitely a pecking order on that second spot. I mean, we got one spot wrapped up and the other one is pretty straightforward.
Yep.
Why don't we talk about the other game in the Big Ten, Andrew? I know you're
the game, sir. The game.
Wisconsin and Nebraska. Let me sit back and you go ahead and talk about it.
So obviously Wisconsin put up some yards, but they didn't put up some points because Nebraska's defense was strong. Nebraska scored 14 points in the last 13 seconds of the second quarter. And I mean, it was on. This is the Dana Holgorsen effect. So a couple of things before we jump into this. On Tuesday, they had a press conference with the coordinators. It's his first press conference, or maybe it was Monday, after the USC lost. And he said, we got some big bodies out here. He said, I don't know why you guys aren't blocking. Your blocking is an embarrassment, talking about the receivers for Nebraska. Right. And then he said, so many of the guys are just worried about getting playing time and catching the ball. And this, he said, you won't have to worry about catching the ball if you're not going to block. 185 yards rushing, Terry, 293 passing. But like your man, Rhett Lashley, and like Gus, these passing, it's another version of the rushing game because you're using the screens and you're using the
long
bubbles.
Handoff,
Yeah, it's a very long handoff. So while it only says 185 yards rushing for Nebraska, there was a lot of throws 1 to 2 yards where the receivers caught him in space, and you had blocking 20 and 30 yards downfield making big plays for Nebraska. They went on a run after the second or third possession. They scored on 6 consecutive possessions. And that's where you just saw them run it up on Wisconsin. Dylan Raiola, sharp. Offense, movement, mobility, all those things I told you we had to see. The one thing I didn't see was them get pissed off. But they won the football game. They're bowl eligible. They have Iowa Friday night to go to 7-5, hopefully, and then to 8-5. Again, building momentum for the next year. You know what else will build you some momentum? Showing that you have the ability to hire an offensive coordinator with a ton of coaching experience and having an instant effect with him calling the plays.
Mid-season.
Yeah. 9 games.
Big deal.
9 games in.
Yeah.
9. Imagine if we had him in August.
Right.
Nebraska's probably a 10-win game. 10-team. 10. They might have beat Ohio State with Dana Holgorsen as the offensive coordinator. But that's woulda, coulda, shoulda. So here's my wish for Nebraska. Secure Holgorsen, because he's on a deal right now. He's on $22,000 a game is what he's getting paid to call the games. Lock him down as your OC. Keep Tony White on defense. Get your 105 guys, and let's go to work. Because bowl eligible is great. But from 1962 till 2004, Nebraska never missed a bowl game. And from 1962 to 2004, they played in 11 bowl games with national championship implications and won 5 of them. So
8 years without a bowl game, and now you're finally going to one. Is that what it is now?
7 years, 7 full seasons.
Okay.
The last time they went was 2016.
Okay.
And that was a Nebraska team that started 7-0 and ended 0-5.
Auburn's done that before.
Yeah. So, anyway, good for Nebraska. It's good for the fan base. It's good for the recruiting. It's good for the team. And I mean, they're flipping people left and right.
Yeah, there are transfer portal's about to open. We're fixing to have a lot of guys signed.
It's going to be chaos.
It's good timing.
But Dylan Raiola, the confidence, having that offensive coordinator, being able to they took 3 guys that hadn't been playing at all, Terry. They're blocking, they're running, they're catching. Like, where the hell were they for 9 games prior to this? It's a different eye. That's what I'm saying. It's a different set of eyes. And Satterfield needed to go. Rule keeps defending him, but I think he probably finds a new job in the offseason. So,
what, did they demoted him or something?
He is the highest paid tight ends coach in the NCAA at $1.8 million.
All right.
And by the way, one more thing, because you love when I do this. So everyone was saying the air raid won't work in the Big Ten, but Dana Holgorsen obviously knows that too. From 1st and goal, do you know what they ran?
Something with a fullback.
The power I, with a 315-pound defensive tackle as the fullback.
Oh, yeah.
And they punched it in for the touchdown. See, those are the types of things that your team gets behind you, everybody starts believing in you, the fans have a good time, and then the defense is like, well, what the hell were we going to do with that guy? He weighs...
The offensive linemen love it.
Yeah, 315 pounds, and we're just getting hammered, you know? And they could have done it 4 times, Terry, but it only took once. They pounded in. Dana Holgorsen Air Raid Architect, Mike Leach Disciple lines up in the power eye. That you have to love.
Exactly. And a defensive lineman in the backfield.
And brings in the DT as the damn fullback. Yeah.
Well, let's look at the scenarios for the Big Ten. It's a little more complicated, but I promise it's straightforward. Oregon is in. Like I said, they're the only undefeated team in the country. Ohio State, if they win, they are in.
Yep.
If Ohio State loses and Penn State wins, they are in. If both of those teams lose and Indiana wins, they are in. If all three of those teams lose, I guess it's Ohio State.
It would be Ohio State. Yeah.
I don't see them all three losing, especially because like Indiana's playing Purdue or something.
Well, it would be Ohio State because, Indiana's playing Purdue. Penn State, I think, is playing Maryland. Yeah. Ohio State is playing Michigan.
Right.
Ohio State has the hardest path, honestly, because all they have to do is win, but they're playing Michigan.
Right.
But Ohio State has the tiebreaker over both of them head to head.
Yeah, I just wasn't sure. I don't think there's another team anywhere close below there after the 4.
No, everybody else has more than 2 losses.
Right.
So even if those two had all 2 losses, that's the other thing. Oregon can lose against Washington this weekend and will still be in the Big Ten championship for the chance for the number 1 seed in the country for the playoff. Speaking of playoffs, sir, let's get to the top 10 so we can talk about playoffs.
We got more games to run down.
Bad.
So a few of them were kind of important. Texas beats Kentucky 31-14. So
hold on this one. Quinn Ewers got hurt on the ankle. We may see Arch Manning against A&M.
That's right. There's a lot of Florida State folks speaking up about Texas losing their starting quarterback. A little different situation.
Yeah, Arch Manning is just fine. And your quarterback was hot garbage. So, anyway.
Penn State squeaks by Minnesota, of all teams. 26-25. But, hey, all they had to do was win at this point. And here's that Notre Dame game, 49-14 over Army to give Army their first loss. Boise State also squeaked by 17-13 at Wyoming. Sorry, Bober, I had to put it on here. Louisville 37, Pitt 9.
I didn't see that one coming. Fun. I'll be honest with you. I thought Pittsburgh was going to give them much better fight than that.
Iowa State 31-28 at Utah. And I just threw these two in there because they seem decent. Missouri 39, Mississippi State 20, and Illinois 38, Rutgers 31.
One note on the Penn State Michigan or Minnesota game. James Franklin called the end of that game to perfection. And what I mean by that is the clock management, the way they used the timeouts. When they caught the guy sleeping, they caught the defense sleeping, and the receiver caught the ball. He didn't run out of bounds. He didn't try to run it into the end zone because he was on the 3-yard line, Terry. He sat his ass down on the field and ended the game. And that's just smart football. That was good coaching by James Franklin. We often are hard on him because he doesn't win the big one. But I would point that out and compliment the Penn State staff that they had their guys prepared that last 2 minutes against Minnesota.
All right, now let's move along, and we'll talk about this week's top 10. Thanks, everybody, for voting. And let's go ahead and get it rolling. Number 10, Boise State finds their way into the top 10. 10-1. That should say 8-0 in conference. I got that wrong. But their only loss is out of conference. But Boise State lost to Oregon by 3 points, and that's their only loss this season. They've got Oregon State coming up this weekend.
Yeah, so Oregon State could be a game. But Boise with Genty there and all of the rest, their defense plays well. They play together as a team. This is the last game of the season. I expect Boise to win that game. But anyway, that could be a game, but is that a conference game or no?
No. Oregon State.
No, it's not. Never mind.
Oregon State at 4-6 just won the Pac-12.
That's right.
Which is not recognized by the NCAA in any way. They cannot use that as a the Pac-12 teams cannot use that conference championship to get into the 12-team playoff. And I think Andrew's talking to a dog over there, so he's muted.
Yes, I was muted because I was talking to the dog who is not behaving himself.
Let's move to number 9. And this is also a team that's found their way in here for the first time. SMU at number 9, 10-1. Their only loss is out of conference to BYU early in the season, and they finish up with California.
Yeah, and that is a conference game.
It is.
So, you're getting 9 conference games in the ACC,
That's
8
right.
conference games. Do I have that wrong?
The SEC has 8.
8, yeah. 9 in the ACC.
I think pretty much everybody's going 9 these days except.
Are you sure?
Am I sure about the number of conference games they've had? Virginia, Boston College, Pittsburgh, Duke, Stanford.
I was trying to think of
Louisville,
Clemson because
Florida
I thought
State.
Clemson was 7-1 in conference, and they don't have a conference game left.
Yeah, I may have that wrong too. Hey, I screwed up twice this week. Forgive me.
I don't know. I'm just asking.
I don't know.
Florida State, Louisville, Stanford. That's 4, 5, 6, 7. This would be 8. They're 7-0 in conference.
They are 7-0.
Okay. Well, it doesn't matter. SMU, I think, is probably going to handle California. They got to be careful. Cal's got a pretty good defense, at least on the passing side of things. But we also know that they can run the ball at SMU. So, anyway, would definitely see what happens there.
All right, let's move on to number 8. Indiana at 10-1. They have 1 conference loss, and they finish up with Purdue.
They're going to beat Purdue by 50. Purdue sucks. Great season for them. We'll talk about it, but I think they should make the playoff. So nothing else to add there. Just got out muscled by Ohio State this weekend, and that happens to a lot of teams.
Number 7, Miami. Yeah. Also with 1 loss. They have that loss to Georgia Tech a couple of games ago. They finish up at Syracuse, and that is the one game in the ACC that matters this weekend because we talked about SMU has it locked up. They're waiting to see who wins. Our
buddy Devin knows we love him, all teasing about his love for AEW aside. Go Orange. Seriously. Because I don't care to see Miami at all in the playoff. But go Orange. So we'll see what they do. But at Syracuse is not necessarily a cakewalk, Terry.
It's not. They got Ohio State's quarterback from last year, right?
Yep. Kyle McCord, who threw, a bunch of pick sixes against Pittsburgh, as I'm sure Bober's going to remind everybody here in a minute. But at the end of the day, Syracuse is still a decent enough football team. If Miami goes in there sleepwalking, they're gonna get beat.
That's right. Number 6, Georgia at 9-2. They are finished with their conference schedule, and they finish up hosting Georgia Tech. And they then go to the SEC championship game to face one of the teams from Texas.
Yeah, this shouldn't be a game, but Georgia's weakness this year, and I can't believe I'm saying this, is their quarterback. So we'll see what he does. Also, UMass is one of the only teams in the country to score 21 against Georgia.
So I saw another graphic that said that UMass has more games against SEC teams with winning conference records than Texas does.
That's crazy, isn't it?
Until this weekend.
Yeah.
Number 5, Notre Dame at 10-1. And they go to USC. Rivalry game. This may be actually good. Depends on which USC team shows up, though.
Let's be honest. The last time they were tested was Louisville. USC is an undisciplined football team. That's why they're not better. They've got great athletes. I saw it when watching the Nebraska game, but they're undisciplined. They have an offensive coordinator as a head coach who wants to be one of the boys. He doesn't want to be the head football coach. That's a problem. That's a problem, letting your guys act like this is Miami in the 1980s. It's not. And you're not winning football games. You just got bowl eligible by beating UCLA by the skin of your teeth. And this is a Notre Dame football team that's motivated. Terry, look what they've done to everybody. You can talk about how bad their schedule is all you want, but they've rolled everybody.
The only ones are the first two games where they beat Texas. Went to Texas A&M and won by 10, which is a pretty good win. Then the loss to Northern Illinois, and then fifth game with Louisville was by a touchdown, and they've steamrolled everybody since then.
Yeah, it's something else, ain't it?
Number 4, Penn State at 10-1, one loss in the conference, and they finish up hosting Maryland. No expectation to lose this, but you know what? There was no expectation to win 26-25 at Minnesota. So let's see what happens this weekend.
We'll see what happens. All they got to do is take care of business, and they're in. And we're going to get there in a minute, but they're in. They may not be in the Big Ten title game, but they're in.
Right.
So.
Number 3, Texas 10-1. The one loss is Georgia came into Austin and whipped them a few weeks ago. They're going to College Station this weekend. That's going to be a huge game. Huge game.
Big time game. And let's face it, College Station, we've said it before, Terry, not an easy place to win. Texas knows that. These two teams played in the Big 12 against each other. But we know that this is not an easy win for either team. But it is winner take all for the SEC spot.
And they're probably a little pissed off after this weekend.
Yeah. So we'll see what A&M does. We do know that despite what we thought early in the season, Elko has the Aggies playing football.
He does. And they've been focused on Texas for 2 weeks now.
That was a Freudian slip, but I think it actually came to fruition because you don't lose in 4 overtimes to Auburn, even at Jordan-Hare, if you're focused on beating Auburn.
That's right.
Not that A&M team. They shouldn't have beat you guys, but they should have beat you guys, but they didn't. So, especially with the inconsistency of Auburn's football play.
Right.
It's been up and down all year long. So like you said, this is a good first step. Beat Alabama this coming weekend. It's an even better step for them.
The funny thing is, with all that criticism of the offense, this might be the first time Auburn has a 1,000-yard rusher and 1,000-yard receiver at the same time.
It's crazy, isn't it?
Lots of yards. They just don't punch it in. Number 2, Ohio State. The one loss by 1 point at Oregon halfway through the season. And they really, they beat Penn State by a touchdown, beat Nebraska by 4. Those were the tests. Everything else has been cake.
And let's face it, 3 top 5 matchups. Nobody else has that on the resume.
But they got the game this weekend.
And they're 2-1 in those top 5 matchups. And like you said, they lost to Oregon by 1 point in Eugene.
Right.
What does it look like in Indianapolis in the rematch? Provided they take care of Michigan.
We'll see. I'm going to love to see it. And number 1, that's the Oregon Ducks, 11-0. And they're headed back to Eugene to host the Washington Huskies.
Huskies, yeah. It'll be in Eugene. Yeah, this will be a revenge game. Dan Lanning lost twice by a field goal last year to Washington. We both watched it, Terry. Yep. Thought that Oregon was the better football team, but they did not win those games. So as our buddy Carl would tell me on the Facebook, Andrew, that means they're not the better football team. Well, I don't know, buddy. There have been some upsets, and better football teams got beat. But his point held. We doubted Washington all year long, and they delivered. Washington will be up for this game. We'll preview it, but this is Oregon's to finish. They're 11-0. They had a bye week. It's theirs to finish.
Let's run it down. Number 10, Boise State. Number 9, SMU. Number 8, Indiana. Number 7, Miami. Number 6, Georgia. Number 5, Notre Dame. Number 4, Penn State. Number 3, Texas. Number 2, Ohio State. And number 1, Oregon. Let's move along to playoff seeding. And here's those that are watching. You get to see both sides, Terry and Andrew. Let's talk about similarities and differences here. And I did something one particular way to drive some discussion. We both have Oregon in the top spot. We both have Texas in the second spot. I've still got Miami at number 3. You've got SMU. I have Boise State at 4 because if you look at the comparison between Boise State and the teams in the Big 12, there's a possibility that the Big 12 team is going to be that 5th conference champion to come in.
I flipped it.
Right.
No. What I mean is I went back and forth on Arizona State or Boise State. And ended up settling on Arizona State based on the way they've been winning the last few games.
I think what we don't know is what the committee is going to do when you have Boise State playing against a lesser team in a championship game, and Arizona State or whoever wins the Big 12 plays against a little bit better team in the championship game. Is that going to be enough to boost them over them or not? We don't know. We haven't really seen that scenario yet.
Right.
But we got Ohio State 5th. I've got Penn State 6th. You got Notre Dame. And we got the other team 7th, Penn State, Notre Dame, 6th and 7th. We got the same thing going on with Georgia, Tennessee at 8 and 9. I've got Georgia ahead. You've got Tennessee ahead. We have the other ACC team at number 10. I had picked Miami to be number 3 and SMU 10. You've got the reverse of that. We both got Indiana at 11. And we got the same flip thing between 4 and 12 with Boise State and Arizona State.
Well, that's called wishful thinking, Terry, because I'd much rather see SMU in the 3 spot than Miami. But this will lead me to a very brief discussion. If Oregon loses to Ohio State, Oregon's in.
Yeah.
Ohio State, presumably Oregon would be the 5 spot. Yeah. Ohio State would be the 1 spot.
Right.
If Ohio State loses to Oregon, let's say they make the championship game, because we don't know for sure yet.
Right.
I would assume Ohio State still gets in, even with 2 losses, because that second loss came in a championship game. I'm going to make a point here in a second. Just take me a second to get there. Texas versus Georgia. Georgia beats Texas. Again, I would imagine they both make the championship, make the 12. However, if Texas was to beat Georgia, I think the likelihood of Georgia getting bounced out is much better.
Yeah.
Because they already have 2 losses to other SEC teams.
Right.
If SMU beats Miami, I would think Miami would drop out, honestly. And Clemson could slide in, believe it or not. But they wouldn't be playing a championship game. If Miami beats SMU, I don't think SMU's afforded the same luxury. They're out.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
The Big 12 I'm not tackling because, quite frankly, whoever wins the Big 12 championship will be the only representative of the Big 12.
Right.
And Notre Dame, we know, as long as they don't lose to USC, and even if they did, 2-loss Notre Dame is still as good as a couple of those other teams in there.
They're probably 10 or 11 at that point.
Yeah. And that's my point about Penn State and Indiana. Let's say Ohio State wins. Penn State and Indiana don't play. They're safe. You can't knock Penn State out of the remaining 7.
Right.
And I don't believe you can Indiana either in a universe where Boise, Arizona State, SMU, and Miami would be in as well. That's just my point. I don't know that if these championship games are close, anything in the standings changes, with the exception of the seed.
Right.
The same teams is what I'm getting at.
Yeah, I
you're
agree
seeing
with that.
Right now are going to be the teams that you see in the playoff with maybe 1 or 2 surprises.
But if somebody gets beat by 30 in one of these bigger championship games,
now that would be something, yes.
Then who knows what happens at that point?
Because Ohio State could take a 30-point loss and still be in. Oregon could take a 30-point loss and still be in.
Right.
But if SMU was to hang 30 on Miami, I don't think you're going to put Miami in the playoff.
Texas could do it. That's
Yep.
probably the 3 teams that could stand that.
Yep. Yeah, because if Georgia gets beat by any more than 10 points,
Yeah,
they're probably bounced
that's right.
because they would have been beaten by Alabama, dominated by Ole Miss, really, and then beaten handily by Texas. And remember, last time it wasn't Arch Manning, it was Quinn Ewers that Georgia's defense saw. So that may matter.
Oh yeah, we got a wild card there, don't we?
Yeah, but I mean, we got another week to worry about it. So, what are we doing this week?
Well, here's the week 14 games, and what I did, I tried to only get games here that we care about because they are directly related to figuring out who plays in the conference championship games. And then we've got Auburn and Nebraska.
Correct.
Unfortunately, those 2 games have nothing to do with conference championship games.
Well, unless Alabama gets the magic, because there are people thinking a 3-loss Alabama would still get in because of Alabama.
No, I'm talking about conference championship. So they're not in that.
No, definitely not. No.
Now, playoff, yes. Now, we have seen chaos. We've seen teams absolutely put the red carpet out for Alabama this week of the season.
Mm-hmm.
We're hoping that doesn't happen.
You're especially hoping that doesn't happen. Let's kick it off. The Cowboys at the Buffaloes. 17 points seems like a lot, Terry.
17 does seem like a lot. I mean, they were really improving, but they took it on the chin against Kansas this weekend. 17 seems like a lot. I do think Colorado wins this, but I'm thinking more like a touchdown.
I would agree. The man has the game plan. All they got to do is that big running back they have, whose name is Ollie Gordon, who's been fairly quiet this season. Maybe they ought to give the ball to him 25 or 30 times like it actually matters. Because as we learned from the last outing, Colorado can't stop the run.
It's funny how when you let the really good running back touch the ball, you win some football games. And like I said, Jarquez Hunter touched the ball 32 times against Texas A&M, and Auburn wins a football game.
Auburn won a football game.
So let's go. Another Friday night game.
Your main event, baby. 7:30.
Nebraska at Iowa. Iowa favored by 5.5 at home.
It's home field advantage. That's why they're favored.
Right.
Iowa does not have a quarterback. They've lost a bunch of defenders. Nebraska is really surging under this new leadership of Dana Holgorsen. Huskers by 12.
All right, I'll take Huskers by 6.
And as a reminder to our audience, at home, based on their performance against USC in the rest of the season, Nebraska was favored by 1 against Wisconsin and beat them by 19. And Terry and I both agree it probably should have been more than 19 the way Nebraska was playing football Saturday.
Right.
So I'm looking forward to that Nebraska football team taking the best against Iowa. Because let's face it, their defense at Iowa is very good. It's a very good defense. So if Raiola can find those weaknesses in the defense with the help of I just lost the name, Dana Holgorsen, then we're going to have a good day. We're going to have a good day, a good night. Another noon kickoff for Ohio State. Isn't this the 5th or 6th one in a row?
Yeah, I keep that picture right there. I normally drag and drop logos. Ohio State's been right there for a very long time.
It is in Columbus. They're welcoming Michigan. The spread is 21, which I think in this game is ridiculous. But give me the Buckeyes by 10.
I'll take Buckeyes by 17. I mean, I know Michigan's not, they're not who they were last year, but they're not a pushover either. But I just think Ohio State's going to come geared up for this. They're going to win by 17 points and go face Oregon again.
I'm going to let you lead it off, buddy. Tuscaloosa, Alabama, 3:30 for the opportunity to be bowl eligible. The Auburn Tigers go to ruin the rest of Alabama's season.
Okay, so this is going to be my unrealistic pick. Auburn at Alabama this weekend, Saturday at 3:30. Alabama favored by 11.5. Auburn squeaks by 2 points. Somehow. I can't tell you how. I don't have the logic, but I ain't picking against them, so 2 points.
Nothing else makes sense this year. Alabama lost to Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt played Texas very strong. Vanderbilt played LSU very strong. Vanderbilt was the laughing stock of the SEC for what, 3 decades or 2 decades, whatever it was, however long they were in existence. And I know we're not talking about Vanderbilt, but I'm using them as a point. Nothing makes sense in the SEC. Give me Auburn in Tuscaloosa. By 7.
It's been 2010 since they won in Tuscaloosa, but that was Nick Saban. So
Well, it was Nick Saban, and it was Nick Saban's quarterback wouldn't throw 3 interceptions, let alone 2 pick sixes. Auburn is surging. I think they found something. This is not an Alabama defense that we're accustomed to seeing. And it is a very mistake-prone, undisciplined Alabama. Are they still better than a lot of football teams? 100%. But this isn't we're going to freak out and have a tantrum at the end of the football game when you're winning 42-14 because somebody jumped off sides and let Notre Dame cross the 50-yard line, sort of thing. We're not there at Alabama anymore, Terry. Right. All your man needs to do is get your guys to play loose and have a good time.
Nothing to lose.
There's nothing to lose.
Go to a bowl game here.
And just spoil the hell out of Alabama, Make it impossible for anyone to make a case for them to go to the playoff.
All right, let's move along to the only game this weekend that matters in the ACC. Miami at Syracuse. Miami favored by 10.5. I don't see the Orange doing it. I got Miami by 7.
I got Miami by 17. As much as I want to see the the Syracuse win, I gave you the underdog pick with Alabama Auburn, and I won't do that again. They've had Cam Ward is an exceptional quarterback. They're going to have a lot of opportunities to score. Miami, we've talked about it. We've compared them to 04 USC. They almost let teams hang around before they slam the door shut on them. If they're smart, they put Syracuse to sleep before halftime.
Yeah. But that has not been their style this year.
No.
They're very similar to those old USC teams storming back.
Yep. And when they storm back, it's fun to watch. Even if it's Miami, it's incredible. They're down 21 points. Oh, here we go. Let's start playing football, I never saw the reason to handicap yourself that much, but whatever. We go into the desert?
We are. So here's the thing. I could not put all the games that matter in the Big 12 on this page, even if I didn't put any other conferences. So I picked a few of them. One of them we care about, Arizona State at Arizona. Arizona State favored by 9. They are hot. I got them by 17.
I'll take them by 14, but I think Arizona's not as good as we thought. I get it's a rivalry game, but with Arizona State, the way they're surging, the momentum they have, they're looking for that Big 12 championship game. I'm going with the Sun Devils. The next game Terry decided to put on this list, Maryland goes to Happy Valley at 3:30 in the afternoon as a 25.5-point underdog, which probably isn't enough.
Because it matters. That's the only reason it's on here. Because Penn
are you
State
ready? I haven't said it yet this week. Penn State by 30.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you there. Obviously, the pick is to say that Penn State's going to roll at home this weekend. This is not as much a pick game as it is a game we care about seeing, just to make sure Penn State wins it. Penn State by 24.
Purdue goes to Indiana as a 29.5-point underdog.
Yeah.
Starting to get a pattern here, Terry. But it is a game that matters. Indiana's going to bounce back. They're going to just beat the hell out of Purdue offensively. Purdue is not a good football team. They fired God and everybody. The head coach is probably next. Indiana by 40.
I'm going to go the other direction. I'm going to say Indiana got their first loss of the season, and sometimes that'll affect a team. I know, Google him, he just wins, but I think they're only doing it by 3 touchdowns, 21 points.
21 points. Let's go to the game that really, really matters, at least in the SEC. The Longhorns to College Station. 108,000 or whatever it is screaming people that represent the 12th man. Welcome the Longhorns. Terry, your thoughts on this game?
See, the tough part here, and I'll just go through the logic. Texas has played one really good team and got beat pretty bad.
Mm-hmm.
The criticism has been of their schedule. We know their roster is stacked. They're going to have Arch Manning playing quarterback. I mean, is that going to drop them down at all? I don't know. Texas A&M is going to be pissed off. Mike Elko can coach, and it's at Texas A&M. Texas is favored by 6. I think Texas wins by a field goal.
Arch Manning. The pedigree, the ability, the education, the mind is going to power Texas to a win over A&M's defense. And I'm taking the Longhorns. Give me them by 6. I'll take the 6. I'll bite.
All right, in the final game on the list here, we go back to the Big 12. 2 of the teams that we mentioned of the 9, Kansas State travels to Iowa State. Iowa State's favored at home by 3. Give me Kansas State by 3.
Kansas State by 3. It's in Ames. Iowa has been exposed. Kansas State plays good defense. Going to have a couple good offensive teams. I'm just running this through my head. This one's going to come down to the end, I think. Probably. But because we need to argue, I will take the Cyclones by the 3. So you're going K-State by 3. I'll go with the Cyclones by 3. So expect it down to the wire, though, genuinely. I genuinely do.
I really hope that there is a lot of chaos in the Big 12 this weekend and that 2 teams really come out on top. Like maybe 2 of the 4 get beat and there's 2 left and it makes it obvious. Because I would hate some 5th or 6th tiebreaker to decide it because there's like a 6-way tie. I don't want to see that. I hope 2 of the 4 teams with the 1 loss lose this weekend, and we just have 2 teams standing there. Anyway, I picked pretty well this week again, and I'm still winning the pick'em 78-51. Bryant is in second place 70-57, and Rakija Brown 69-50, and Bober also has 69 wins but more losses. So Bober's not mentioned here.
But we mention him every week because we love him and how he participates. We love Devin.
He's the most vocal.
We love Pondwater Dave, all of you guys. The show is so much better when you're all involved. And on Thanksgiving week, a sincere thank you for the participation.
That's right. For voting, for watching, for listening, for commenting, for participating in the pick'em.
For telling us when we're wrong.
Right. We put a lot of stuff out there, and some of you guys, we can really count on you to participate in that, and we thank you for that.
Very much so.
Another fun couple of shows, Andrew. I'm getting tired. How about yourself? Have you eaten dinner yet?
No, yes, I had a salad today. I might go get me a snacky snack, though, because I went and worked out this morning. Buddy, it's Thanksgiving week. You know I love you. I love Allison. She's already in bed. Bober, happy Thanksgiving to you, buddy. We do mean it. We'll have to get together, all of us, again sometime. I just don't know that we need to do a redo of a wedding because that means somebody's wedding didn't go well. Or something. I don't know.
I could have round 2 at some point. You don't know.
There you go. Terry's volunteering for that job.
I don't know if I said that.
I heard that, and I know everybody else did. But yeah, buddy, it's Thanksgiving week. You know we're grateful for you, for Allison, for Amy, for our unit, our people, and all of our people here. So we know who you are. We see you, and we do mean it. And War Damn Eagle, buddy.
War Eagle, and let's take that momentum to Tuscaloosa and see what happens, and take that momentum into 2025. That's all we can ask for at this point.
Yeah, both of us.
That's right. Well, thank you, Andrew. Thank you, Allison. Even though you have signed off for the night, we love you.
She gone.
Thanks, everybody else, and be a champ this week and all that you do. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. See you later.